Yes, today is World Senior Citizens Day, and to mark the day, we are bringing you a show on the range of issues that today confront the senior citizen. Healthcare, loneliness, and how senior citizens can continue to play a meaningful and engaged role in society. Are senior citizens a neglected constituency? Is our popular youth-obsessed culture too focused on being young? All those questions ahead on our show. Skype us or tweet us onto our Twitter stream with hashtag Senior Citizens Day. With us, Kamla Bhasin, founder of Jagori and Sangat, South Asian network of gender activists and trainers. You're a senior citizen who jumps in and on and off buses like any young person. Neelam Katara of our justice system. As every lawyer will tell you, they are proud of Neelam Katara and what she has done to our justice system. And Anjali Ila Menon, who of course needs no introduction, eminent artist and as well as a very engaged citizen. And of course, TSR Subramaniam, former cabinet secretary, joining us. Thanks everyone very much for being here. The reason why we invited you particularly is that all of you are senior citizens, but are playing meaningful, engaged and leadership roles in your chosen fields. Neelam Katara, let me begin by asking you, is it important for those who are above a certain age, who may have crossed the age of 60, to continue to be emotionally engaged in society, give back to society, and not be in a frame of mind of, my time is over, I have to now retire? Is retirement no longer an option when it comes to doing the public good?
Absolutely. I think this is the time when you're in the best position to give back to society, and because you have had so much of experience, so it's very sad if you don't. And it's good for society as well as it's good for yourself, because so long as you keep evolving, I feel that if I'm interested in what's going on around me, I keep evolving. Otherwise, I'd be a very lonely person, and I really would not feel good. Retirement doesn't mean that you have to be, employed or, for money. But other than that, I think it's a must.
That's a very important point. TSR Subramaniam, is it important to realize that once you have retired or formally retired, you're actually very free? You're free from the pressures of going to a job and doing a daily job. You can actually then make use of your time creatively to do the things that perhaps you've always wanted to do and change society in very meaningful ways, as you do. Your many years as a civil servant, perhaps you did what a civil servant was supposed to do, but now you're doing things that an activist and concerned citizen does.
Sagarika, you're right, because I believe that apart from certain physical factors of sort of mobility or age is a factor more of the mind than of the body. And I think that I decided that I will be engaged and retirement is a state of mind. I think Neelam Katara said it correctly, that if you retire, the moment you retire, you switch off. It is important for you to feel engaged, to feel part of it. And she's also correct. It's a time when, for whatever little it is worth, you have built a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. And the moment you start looking for returns, in terms of physical, monetary terms, the whole thing is gone. The moment, if you continue to do it to please yourself, to think that you're contributing, even if not appreciated, I think you continue to be there, and I think that is what keeps you going.
To continue to contribute, even if you're not appreciated. Kamla Bhasin, now you are jumping on and off buses, as I said. You're singing songs. You're fighting fit. You shout very loudly in street protests. Jago re jago, I heard you shouting last time. Did you ever think of retiring? Can you ever think of giving up on this kind of highly active life you have? And are your efforts at this age appreciated by younger people?
When you are in part of a movement, there's no question of retirement, whether you're part of the women's movement or human rights movement or right to information movement. So we are, we don't face this question of retirement. And I think if what you are saying makes sense, obviously, you are appreciated.
You are appreciated.
Completely. Then people come to me. Like this morning I was with 35 women representatives of panchayat, sarpanches, etc. What fun we had singing and shouting slogans, etc. And I think I'm much wiser today than I was before. And I was just thinking that earlier on also in India they said the average age was 100. And after 50, it was said that people should get into Vanaprastha ashram to serve society.
And that's what you feel you're doing.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel I get much more from the movement than I ever give.
Right.
I mean, all the friends and all the energy and all the
So these are the joys of Vanaprastha, when you're free of the household and familial concerns, and you can devote yourself to the public good and to working for the community. Anjali Ila Menon, you are the grand dame of Indian art. I think you are considered really the sort of leading light of the contemporary Indian art movement at the moment. And you were telling me that before you came to the studio, you were climbing up a scaffolding because you're painting a mural at the Delhi airport.
No, that's finished. I said I had been climbing a scaffolding, and I can still climb a scaffolding or perch on a ladder. Because I think, as both of you have already said, it's really a state of mind. And I think you just have to keep doing what you're moved to do, and it's got nothing to do with age.
Does the youth-oriented popular culture kind of put you off? I mean, do you get put off by the fact that all the films are about young people, the advertising is about young people, the products are for young people? Of course, you know, over 60% of India is below the age of 35, so there is going to be that demographic. But does this youth-oriented popular culture bother you?
I constantly live with young people because I'm one of those very, very few urban people who is lucky enough to have a joint family where my grandchildren are living in my house. I see all their friends. I also have my studio in the Nizamuddin Basti, so I'm dadi to a whole lane of youngsters, and I've seen them grow up, and I've tried to mentor as many of them as possible. I also run a small NGO which is full of from 3 years old to 50. There are people whom we try to mentor and help and educate. So I'm constantly with young people, and I am trying to understand them. I realize that our values are very different from theirs. They've become much more materialistic. And I say this to young artists, that don't just keep your eye on the dollar. You have to mature, you have to open yourself to inspiration, you have to have a period of contemplation before you can start to...
So the kind of wisdom and advice and mentoring that you can bring after your many years as an artist is something that is invaluable. T.S. Subramaniam, many would say that actually senior citizens are very much center stage in India, and perhaps more in India than in other countries. They're accepted very much as the mainstream in society. I mean, our prime ministerial candidate of the BJP is over the age of 60, Mr. Narendra Modi. Our prime minister is 81. The leaders of the opposition are all senior citizens. The senior citizen representation in the cabinet is, of course, very impressive. So many would say that the senior citizens are actually very central to Indian public life.
Well, I'm not sure that you're drawing the right parallel here. We're talking of India in general, not just of our political class, and that may put off a lot of people if this is what I'm going to be at 60 or 70 or 80. So, but I think, yes, old people have a role to play. I mean, they must be engaged, and somebody said yesterday, I'm chancellor of a university, I run a school system. Whenever I get a chance to go and address young boys and girls, I see the spark in their eyes, and it gives me greater energy. So I think that empathy is very much there. I think the real point is that you're not switched off, and you have something to give. If somebody is there to receive, and lots of people are there to receive, if what you give is dispassionate, what you give is without any expectation of returns or rewards, lots of people are there to receive and respond, and it is a very joyful thing to give at this stage of life.
Do you find that also, that people are willing to appreciate you, perhaps more in India than in Western countries, where there's a pressure to look young and be young and always have youthful demeanor? In India, perhaps the older person is appreciated much more. Is that right?
If you can connect with the youth, if you can, if you don't talk down to them or talk down at them, but if you understand them, their problems, and if they feel that you are one of them, then definitely they appreciate you. So it's you've got to move. I mean, you can't just say that here I am and I'm going to be like this and still expect it from
right,
the
but
youth.
is there a generation gap, Kamala Bhasin? Do you sometimes feel that, oh God, these guys are coming from a different planet? They are not speaking my language at all.
My problem is that I don't feel old. I mean, I really just don't feel I'm 67. because I'm quite healthy. I spend a lot
What's
of
the
time.
secret? What's the secret of your
No,
good
I
health?
think I spend about an hour and a half walking and doing yoga in a park.
Right.
And I mean, 3 months ago, I decided I was fed up of my hair. I just chopped it off, and people kept asking me, why are you doing it? I said, from vanity to sanity now. So, I mean, if you don't feel old,
Right.
I mean, the people who look at
But there's
you...
no clash of values that you have with the younger
Indeed
generation.
there is.
There is.
Indeed there is, but there are also many young people with whom I interact who have similar values, and think the issue of values is extremely important.
Right.
You know, we were earlier talking about loneliness. Just look at the number of old people whose children are not with them. And what I find that in our class, it is daughters today who are looking after the old people, hardly any sons. And you know, when we were young, we were told the story of Shravan Kumar.
The
best-
son who looked after his parents.
Yeah, today we only have Shravan Kumaris in our class.
There's a statistic I have of rising parent abuse. Every third senior citizen in India is abused mainly by the son. Let me just get comments in on this. I mean, is this a trend you find among your contemporaries? There are a number of people facing serious problems with their children.
Well, I think it comes down, quite often it comes down to finance. When the old people hang on to some money, they have a little bit of clout. It's only when they become completely destitute that they're thrown out. But I do see, nobody's really tried to do this before, but I think there's, when the old people need young people to be around them, why not have old people's homes and orphanages nearby so that the orphans can have a dadi or a dada, and the old people can have
Is that a
connection.
realistic, Neelam Katara, a realistic assessment of what being old in India is going to have to become? Old people's homes is because if the family is breaking down, if children are themselves abusing their parents, if, as Anjali Menon is saying, as Kamla Bhasin is saying, there are so many disputes, there are property disputes, there are lots of problems increasingly between the generations. Is the option of the old age home, moving out of the family home, increasingly going to become the norm in India? Do you see that happening?
Yes, I would, but not because only of negative reasons that there's parent abuse. First of all, about the daughters, now I think it's a world over that the parents do live with the daughters because finally the daughter is running the home. And now, especially with, all the property rights, everything else, education gradually becoming equal, well, why not? I mean, whoever is able to do it. So that mindset that only the son has to look after the parents, I think that needs to go. In all fairness to the young generation, they are busy with their lives, their work, and unfortunately the social security or the social support system in our country is not at all good. I mean, we're talking of 1,000 rupees pension for the very poor. That's not enough. The health facility should be so good. Major stress is that the old people feel insecure. Once they're given proper health, I mean, they know that they can go to and have good health facilities, even if they don't have
That's
money.
a very important point. Health facilities, urban infrastructure. How can the urban infrastructure, because I know we were talking before the show that you find it difficult to go for a walk because you're scared that you'll be hit by a car.
Or into a puddle or
into a bad road. So urban infrastructure, healthcare facilities, and also can more attempts be made to harness the power of the senior citizens and their talents and their wisdom and put it back into society? How can this be done? We'll talk about that after the break. Before we go, let's listen to our sponsor of the Senior Citizens Award that we are bringing you. CNNIBN, in association with the Pune-based Paranjape Group, has instituted a Senior Citizens Award to award those citizens who, even though they are above 60 years of age, are giving back to society and have plunged into working for the public good. Let's hear from Shashank Paranjape on this.
Large number of senior citizens, actually, though retired, are tirelessly working for the society. Now it is our responsibility to acknowledge their effort and further inspire them. These awards will precisely do that, and it will also inspire and encourage a lot more senior citizens to contribute in a big way to the society.
You know, this is what I keep telling my mom also. Welcome back. Yesterday's World Senior Citizens Day. Does our society ignore senior citizens? How can issues like urban loneliness, the hostility of the urban infrastructure be combated? Let's talk about the urban infrastructure, Neelam Katara, because you were telling me this in the break, how difficult it is to simply get access to markets, to, in your case, you go to the law courts very often, to walk on into the law courts, access to hospitals, access to public transport. So how friendly is the urban infrastructure to a senior citizen?
No, I don't think it's very friendly at all. I was talking of this pavement just outside the High Court. I mean, if I get onto it, I can't get off because with my height, I literally have to jump.
But does anybody help you?
No, not unless you ask. So, I mean, I play it safe. I don't get onto it. I walk alongside it, which is not safe because there's traffic. So somebody has, and it's a new pavement, somebody has made that pavement without realizing that 2.5 feet is not the right height. You have things like this. A lot of shops don't have access. Many of the auditoria, they don't have access. And then there's no pickup or drop facility for seniors. I mean, I'm not that old, but there are older
Pick up and drop
people.
facilities.
Yeah, some people don't have it, or maybe they have children who are busy, who are working late, and you have this old parent at home who would like to go to one of these religious discourses, maybe, or even any other entertainment. There is no pickup and
It's a
drop.
very important point. A pick-up and drop service for senior citizens to make urban centers more accessible. We were talking also about urban loneliness, the loneliness that a senior citizen may face. How can this be combated? How can this issue be confronted?
No, I was amazed. I was in Kathmandu last week, and a woman was telling me that she has started an old people's daycare center. I said, what do you do? She says about 25-30 people have already enrolled. We pick them up in the morning. Some of them stay for 4 hours, some of them stay for 8 hours. We have space for them to lie down during the day. They play cards, they play carom, they read, they watch films together, they have discourses, and they get all kinds of doctors every month, every week. So I think those kinds of facilities will have to be created.
They will have to be created to engage senior citizens much more in activities. Do you agree that, again, loneliness and mental stress, depression and fear are the two main factors we're finding from our senior citizen survey? How can these factors be combated?
Shagrika, first and foremost, I think we have to acknowledge that this is also a class thing.
That's right.
Because I think the very poor who don't have space at home, sometimes I go to the park and I see old people perhaps sitting there the whole day, an old man sitting there the whole day. He goes home in the evening, but somebody has pushed him out of the house in the morning saying, "Kahin jao," So you're very right that they have nowhere to go. And if there was a place where they could go, they could possibly have a nice midday meal. And I think these facilities are often available in, like I see in Nizamuddin, the Dargah gives a lot of space to the destitute and to old people. I think you can always go to a Gurdwara and find old people there because there's the langar. So I think that we should try and repeat or follow those kind of initiatives which are already there in Indian society.
I'm getting a very interesting SMS here from someone who's saying that the way we can do this, the way we can spread awareness about senior citizens is if Bollywood films are centered much more on roles that are in fact on senior citizens instead of only showing young people. Do you feel that also is a point? There's a point there that the plight of senior citizens or what senior citizens go through, the fact that they're not necessarily senior citizens, they also can be heroes and heroines. Who don't have to necessarily be 16 years of age. So should there also be a rethink?
No, but they're making special films and scripts just for Mr. Amitabh Bachchan.
Right.
There's that awful, very, very sentimental film, Bagban, where the old people are thrown out and then they get together. And
in a way, and in a way, it's just as well that the three of you are here and you're women, because I have a statistic here that said 51% of India's elderly population will be women by 2016 because they are living a little more than the men. Do you feel that women particularly are vulnerable and special initiatives perhaps have to be taken for elderly women, particularly poor elderly women?
No, I think it's both. I think to some extent women don't feel so lost once they retire, because women never retire. They can always do something. If children are in the home, women are busy with them. It is these men who have only worked in their offices or outside who don't know what to do.
They have the real problem, the male menopause.
That's
actually
right.
happens to them
Exactly.
much more than
So they
happens to the
don't know.
women. But you and all of you guys are in great and perfect health. What's the secret, if I can ask you?
I think one has to just keep making oneself go, and if one does have a health issue, you take treatment for it and then you move on.
Right.
And rather than just sit and brood on it and make an issue out of it. Probably if I didn't have this much to do, if I was just sitting at home, then each little pain or ache would become a huge big thing. But then again, I said health facilities are absolutely essential, because there are a lot of old people who don't have the money to go to big fancy hospitals, and the government
Affordable healthcare is very, very
healthcare
necessary.
is still, unfortunately, after so many years after independence, it's not something I would wish on anyone.
Right, and Kamala Bhasin says she works out 1.5 hours every day. And you were telling me you've never drunk, you've never smoked, you've always led a very, very healthy life.
Not a very healthy life. I'm not healthy at all. But we have one rule amongst our friends who are our age, that we never discuss our health.
Right.
It's because there's one friend, if you just happen to ask her, how are you? She'll give you 5 years.
But aren't artists supposed to be all chain smokers and,
I don't know what
leading
they're supposed to be. I'm not.
And you said you were telling us you gave up smoking at the age of 8.
I gave up smoking when I was 8.
She gave up smoking when she was 8, which raises the question, when did you start?
Oh, I must have been about 3 or 4, because my ayah used to give me puffs of her bidi until my grandmother found out and threw her out. Poor thing.
But that's a very cool line, I must say. I gave up smoking when I was 8 years of age. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Kamala Bhasin, Neelam Katara, Anjali Ila Menon, Chesa Subramaniam. We lost our link to him, unfortunately, but thanks so much for being with us. And the final results of our SMS and online poll: does our society ignore senior citizens? Is their talent and their potential there for us to use for society? 87% are saying yes, they're neglected. We need to make better use of our senior citizen talent. Thanks for watching.